Hello and welcome to Big Ideas, the podcast where three co-hosts rotate roles to explore real conversations, meaningful ideas, and the decisions that shape our lives. I'm Justin Gabassi, human optimization coach, a professional touring musician, and I'm currently traveling the world, studying how health, culture, and human connection intersect across different societies. Today, I'm tuning in from Thailand.
And I'm Jessica Broadway, a coach, author, and speaker who works with leaders and entrepreneurs and individuals, pretty much anybody navigating seasons of change. And I'm tuning in from Nixa, Missouri.
And I'm Mark Steiner. I'm a father, a partner and mate. I'm an entrepreneur, an actor, artist, and creator. I'm co-founder and CEO of Gig Salad as well. I'm co-host with these two knuckleheads, and I love it. And I'm in Springfield, Missouri, from my home, Mikasa. Mikasa.
Nice.
Mikasa. Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
It's great to see you.
Feels like always a great day.
I see that couch in the background, Mark. You and I have solved a lot of the world's problems on that couch.
We certainly have.
Had some serious talks over there.
Yeah, emotions on that couch.
A lot.
We've laughed, we've cried.
After all these years, I've never been in your house.
What? Mikasa, not Sukasa?
Not Sukasa. I want to solve problems on the couch. Come on, man.
Well, hey, has Mark been to your house? Mark, have you been to her house?
We've been to Jessica's house.
Oh, bro. Bro. You just got called out.
Sorry. Yeah. That was a setup on me. I was calling you out for not remembering that we were there together. But okay, now we're doing all this finger.
Man, that is a double call out, isn't it?
Sure is. Sure is. There's no shortage of call outs.
Oh,
man.
I know.
What are we talking about today? Oh, yeah. Resolutions. And we're going to check in on how our New Year's resolutions are doing and how maybe some new resolutions have popped up as the flowers have popped up, as spring has sprung. This is a great time to reflect and think about fresh beginnings, new things. And for me personally, it's a time to look back on this first quarter. Q1, as they say in the business world. Yeah. We just passed that on March 30th as official end of Q1, as I understand it. Not March 31. I don't know why. And then last week we're 100 days in with this year. I'm not a numerologist, and I don't get too, maybe I'm more than I think, but I am intrigued by numbers. I'm motivated by numbers and dates. And so this topic in particular is one that I feel like has been how I've lived my life. It's always been about, sometimes it's related to procrastination. Sometimes it's like, well, I'm not going to start that diet because it's in the middle of the week. I'm going to wait until Sunday or Monday. Or I'm so close to the end of the year and it's the holidays. Maybe I'll wait until January 1st to start my diet, And then at that point, I'm like, well, my birthday's March 10th. Maybe I'll just wait till my birthday. You see where I'm going with this. Okay. But I still like the idea of having some framework around the start and the end. The alpha and the omega, as it were. Mm-hmm. And so I want to put it out there to you all. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about any New Year's resolutions? If we were to go back and look at that episode, whatever was in our hearts and minds at that time in terms of our intentions of what we were going to change this year, or do this year, or do differently, do better. Where do you think you're at? I have some ideas for me, but I've talked already for several minutes, and I want to keep it fluid here. So, go guys.
Jessica, do you want to start with? You're so good at this. Do you want to start with? Because my response is going to be a little more unstructured, probably. Like my life is more unstructured than usual. So, do we start with the unstructured approach or the structured approach?
Let's do it. I want to hear what unstructured sounds like for you. That sounds like.
Oh my
Chaos. Chaos and mess.
Well, first of all, it's funny. I just listened to an audiobook that talks about time, and it talks about Kairos versus Chronos. Chronos being time, linear time, and Kairos being nonlinear time. And I feel like being here, being in this country where the the way time is viewed is just different. It's just different, and especially when you're on one of the islands, and I don't know, man, it moves differently, and so it's here we're all talking about it, like the digital nomads are talking about how we all have a lot to do, right? But there's also a little more of a lot, like the culture's a little more chill and lackadaisical than what I remember experiencing in the US, super hardcore. When there's working hours, you're going to be working those hours, right? So I find myself, as you mentioned, Mark, like wanting to start fresh on a part of the week, like a Monday or a Sunday or something with the goals, or like Jessica and I, you'll probably speak to this, but like this 12 week pattern as well, which has been really, really helpful. But now, like one of my big things is as I have this runway headed back to the US here before too long for a pinch, because Jessica and I have a big speaking engagement. Thank you, Mark. And Gig Salad, boom. It's
You.
changing the way I was really, it was struggling to keep things more linear. And now I'm trying to re-implement the linear thinking. But it's stressful. It's really interesting how deep the programming is in the US, the 9 to 5 programming, it could be highly valuable, but I'm finding that if I fall down and just mess up, whether I get off my workout regimen or my diet or whatever the case might be, I'm like, nope, okay, today's the day. And you just go as many days as you can. And then you fall down and then, oh, okay, here we go again. It doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Thursday or whatever. So it's been really wild for me. It's been twisting me up. Not in a bad way, but it's just a whole different perspective.
What's the name of the book you're reading? Knew I was going to put you on the spot again.
That's okay. That's okay.
Another spot put.
It's like it's called Forbidden Metaphysics.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know that. And yeah, good.
I thought you were going to say the 12-week year, because that's a huge topic that they bring up in that book, is the different types of time we have and how we need to deconstruct the way we see time and goals, and to restructure that. And I personally, that was like reading that book years ago, was a pretty big game changer for me in the way that I structure things. And it happened to go a little more ebb and flow with life, I think, and a little less, because their studies show that when people set goals versus like in the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, productivity actually doesn't really increase until Q4 and it's go time. Like most revenue is created in that Q4, hence Black Fridays, things like that. And because they're now out of time. So urgency is what creates productivity, not necessarily strategic planning. And so when I read that book, I was like, it's like you're in my head, but you gave me words to explain how frustrated I am. So someone who does struggle with, believe it or not, time management and being on the neurodivergent spectrum, ADHD, time blindness, things like that. Like, I do understand how time is just like invisible sometimes, and the overcommitting to what you can accomplish. It took me probably a whole year to really accept the ability to accept that I can't do everything. So I'm really notorious for because of the time blindness, I overestimate the time that it will take to do something. And so I had to come up with this rule for myself called double or nothing. So if I don't have double the time to do it, then I can't do it because I realize that I have a disproportionate concept of time when it comes to doing a task. Like I think, oh, I'm going to be able to do that in no time at all. But then things like loading the dishwasher seem like they're going to take 5 hours, and so I'll avoid that when that would really take 5 minutes, right? So it's the task avoidance piece that. So I've had to totally deconstruct the way that I see time, the way that I gamify time for myself. I've had to, do that for several years. I've been kind of falling in love with the idea of what can I do to make time work for me instead of working for time. Because I just see it, I already see it differently. So I have to find a way to make it work for me. And that has been very successful. But as far as like New Year's goals, and being on track with how we're doing, falling in line with stuff like that, I would say that I've already scrapped the first version of the year and started another version. um, but
Yes.
like, because that's one of the benefits of using a 12-week year versus like looking at the 365-day, 52-week year, is that you get many opportunities to launch something, to learn from it, and then to relaunch it. And you're like, okay, this is not working the way we thought it was going to do. We need to recalibrate. We need to restructure it because our 12 weeks is coming up, and that's just like, I'm not even talking about business. I'm talking about life goals. I'm talking about weight loss goals. Like, at the beginning of the year, I'd set some goals because the little pounds had creeped back on. And I was trying to do way too many things at once. And I had to go back to the drawing board, which is really hard for high achievers. We want to do all the things and we want to implement every strategy and everything. And the truth is implementing one and being successful at one thing is much, much better for you long term than to be halfway successful at 5 things. It's still a hard pill for me to swallow, but I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm embracing it. It's going a lot slower than I'd like, but it's going.
Yes. That's a great. I'm glad you mentioned that, Jessica, because what um, I think I've made peace with is setting goals, um, committing to some extent, a change, accepting a challenge, saying I'm going to do some work, or I want to see, I want to make a change, or I want to do something better. Um,
Michael
I had that
Jackson.
intention.
I was just wanting to like jump in there with.
Sorry, Mark. You said I want to make a change, and I just heard Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror," and I saw Jessica's face, and we were both. It's hard not to. Sorry to take you off point there, bro.
No,
It's
that's
hard not to
great.
start singing it to you. I
Oh,
wanna
I
make.
want to I want to sing Bowie right now,
Yeah.
Ooh, what's
right?
that?
Ooh.
You don't know changes.
Oh
Burn. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
let's just do
Sorry.
that. Let's
Sorry to
do an
throw you off.
episode where we listen to music and comment on it. Yeah, for
This
now.
episode should be titled "Tell Me You Have ADHD Without Telling Me You Have ADHD."
Man. Oh man. Okay, so here's what's happened in my quarter. My first quarter, I turned 60, right, on
Mm,
March 10th.
yeah.
And I had goals within that, starting January 1st by my birthday. I think I mentioned to you guys I wanted to be at a certain weight.
Yeah.
I I you know what they say, right? We've said this before on here. I pooped the bed on that one.
I thought
I
you made it. I thought you made it, bro. Like you said, I thought you said you got up that morning. And speaking of pooping the bed, I thought you pooped and then you hit the weight after the poop. Is that not right?
No, no, no. It's all the complete opposite.
Oh,
Let's just say that not only have I not lost weight, but I can't I don't know what it is.
am I failing
I'm
you as a coach, bro? Am I
well,
hitting?
I haven't referred to you or referenced you, I think out of complete embarrassment, or I don't. The fact is there's something going on. Here's what I want to say about this, and what you said, Jessica, is what I'm learning is acceptance, authenticity, and I'm not going to beat myself up over this. That's the big thing. It's not that I'm giving up on my desire. I'm still figuring it out. Um, and I'm figuring that oftentimes the things, I don't know that we always fully put in perspective what our intention is and what it's going to take to get there. And really all the ramifications, all the ways that your life will be affected by this intention. And so I can want something for myself or think that I want something for myself, but it's just the goal. I'm not sure I always take into consideration all the things it's going to take to get to the goal. And as I've gotten older, what I'm learning is the old things I used to do don't work the same way that they used to.
Mm,
It's not as easy to do, for one.
mm,
And I could probably throw in there that I'm not a woman, and it's probably even harder for a woman. Who knows, with changes and things. But I feel like my body's going through changes. I'm just flat getting older, and things happen, and so perhaps the commitment has to be different or harder. Um, I there's consistency involved. I was traveling. I know this all sounds like I'm making excuses, but this was the part of it that I didn't really fully either comprehend or take the time to think about. I'm going to be at a hotel. Am I, in fact, going to get up every morning and go to the gym when I haven't set that standard and shown that consistency when I was at home? I was doing some working out at home and I was doing it. It's just as far as lifestyle goes and all the things, it's hard. And I hope the audience hears this. I hear you. I see you, audience. It's hard, and um, I but I'm giving myself grace, and I'm choosing to love myself in spite of having not hit my goal, and not only not hit my goal, but went backwards. So that's number one. That's what I want to say. But I'm looking at the spring, and I'm looking at this new beginning, and I'm saying, okay, well, how can I do better now? As opposed to, oh, screw it. I'm just not cut out for this,
Yes.
or et
mm.
cetera, et cetera. It's okay. Reframe it, relook at it. That revelation just now, Justin, like, oh yeah, maybe I should call my wellness coach and ask him about this. Maybe I should fill him in. We really haven't touched base since he's left the States. It's been a bit since we've
Yeah.
talked. And so uh yeah, Justin, what advice do you have for a 60-year-old guy that's really struggling with his weight? Another
Man,
time, another time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But
you
tell
hit you
yeah.
but you hit on some things, man, that I've been really dealing with as well. It's like obviously time seems to be going so much faster. It's like we as a race, human race. I mean, the words in there, race. It's like
Hmm.
it seems like we're all stacking more on our plates. Some of it is essential and necessary. We all have to make money to survive. Though it's just the way this whole thing is built. And it seems like everyone I talk to, it's just moving. Things are moving more quickly, and you said, or you made a really good point, Mark, about how there's variables that just pop in. Like, man, there's been times I've not wanted to post because I've also lost, well, I've lost muscle mass, and like just my fitness isn't where it was when I left. Like, I've done my best to keep it up, but in a different country or different lodging or hard to get to a gym, get a ride, whatever the case might be. And it's just like the food, the water. And then I'm thinking back to all of my clients and friends and family back home that hit me up for advice. And they're like, yeah, I mean, they're juggling jobs and children and extracurricular activities for themselves and their kids. And I don't know, man, we're at a really interesting time. And then you take all that, and something I've been also trying to really focus on is the present moment. Man, it's really hard to focus on the present moment when you're thinking of 10 steps ahead about all the stuff that you have to do, especially if you have goals. So you're looking at the goals, which means you're looking into the future. But then you're beating yourself up about what you didn't accomplish in Q1, Mark. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Dude, I don't know. I'm hoping we can solve the riddle a little bit. I mean, for me, I have basic steps. I try to make certain things habitual, and even sometimes miss the mark on those. But there's been seasons like Jessica and I have been rocking super hard. There was a 12-week span where we built the perfect day. We co-wrote a book. I look back on that 12 weeks. I'm like, holy crap. But then out here with the variables, or Mark, like what's going on with you with the variables, it's like, I mean, the basic stuff is taking my full attention, and I'm not moving as fast on some other metrics that I would like to move either.
I have a
And also
question for
trying to be
Justin.
in the present moment. Go ahead.
That's great. That's great, Justin. Related to time, you being someplace outside of the United States, um, give me a second to frame this question. Yesterday, I meet with a group of guys on Tuesday mornings, and we talk about different things each week, philosophical, spiritual, etc. And yesterday, it came up about time and time here, and and one of the guys, friend Brandon, said the time is different when he's international. It's just different. The pace, what we're talking about here, Jessica, and I think that comes down to how much can we do with our time. We're in survival mode, and on top of just survival mode, we want to throw in these other things to make our lives better. I think those are for noble reasons, for good reasons. Yes, like when you moved here from Scotland, were you too young to have any um, reference point for time? Like, did you feel different when you landed and started to live in the United States? Was yes?
Well, to be fair, most of the experiences that we'd had coming to the States were in the summer, so the time works differently there, when you're on vacation, so to speak, than when you're in real life. But I do significantly remember things that we did that were different. I was 12, so I had not very many responsibilities,
Right.
at 12. But just the time structure and the way that people would come over and the hospitality. Of course, again, that was what 30 something years ago. So I can't speak to the
Yeah.
culture now. But what I can say is that time is what you make it. And years ago, I came up with this phrase for myself because one thing I always appreciated about my dad and just my family in general is we are really good at making time for people. And I was like, how do you build a life where you do that, where you not just busy? And I get it. Sometimes you have to schedule things. I'm not talking about that side. I mean, being present with people when you're with them. Are you someone who makes time to be in the moment? And so I like to call myself I want to be a maker of time, meaning that I am going to make that moment feel like time disappears. I'm going to be present and I'm going to block out things. Maybe that means I have to set a timer for myself so that I can relax and not have to worry about where I am or what I'm doing. I can be present, and then I have something to say, hey, you have to move to the next thing, right? So we may only get a few minutes, but it's not going to feel like that because I'm going to want to be completely present with you. I don't want to be multitasking. Do I have to do that sometimes? Yeah, for sure, because that's just life. But I want the majority of my life to be about being present. When I am with you, I'm present with you. When I'm with my kids, I'm present with them. And, something you guys were talking about, and I wanted just to speak to it, is like, Mark, you said that you're changing, your body's changing, you're growing older. And as a woman, we are having a lot more conversations about hormonal shifts, and perimenopause is getting more of a conversation. And we are having healthy conversations around that now. But it was just with some friends yesterday, and we were talking about the changes our bodies are going through. And I said, I started off this year with like, I know what to do. You know what to do. You've done it before. You know what to do. You did it post babies, and then I was like, this last 4 months has taught me, maybe, just maybe, and you guys know this, I'm fanatic about all the ways that grief impacts us. I was like, maybe you need to grieve the version of you that existed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, right? Because that body isn't that body anymore. This body needs new tools. It needs new supports. It needs things that that body didn't need. And yes, you could do those things, and those were helpful then, but they're not helpful now. And so instead of kind of wanting to get back to something, am I able to release that I'm really able to release that version of me and wish her well and embrace the version of me that exists today and learn to love this body with these changes, with this experience, and to be present with this body instead of trying to tell this body it has to be some other version of me. And that was just a new layer of awareness for me. It's not, again, it's complacent or accepting of, it's embracing of, and being curious about what does this body need, what does this version of me need, and continue to evolve as a wife, mother, woman, being comfortable in my own skin. And I'm just having to really learn that lesson over this last year, and particularly feel like I've turned a corner the last 4 months of being able to be kinder to myself and recognizing that the way I look isn't, doesn't diminish my capacity or my ability or things like that. Even though gaining weight definitely is a confidence crusher, I've had to kind of do some internal work to heal that and be okay being in the skin I'm in for the moment. And I think that has been a huge step for me in this last Q1, is a embracing and accepting, and I didn't know I needed it, exposed pieces that were still unhealed, and having to be a little bit more tender with myself and releasing those expectations, and then being open to the new strategies for this 43-year-old body.
You make a really good point, Mark. Do you want to go, or
Oh, you go.
I
You go.
just you made a really good point, and like this is so pertinent because we're talking about time, right? And so that new version, Mark of you, Jessica of you, me myself out here traveling, trying to maintain similar goals, mentally, physically, in this case, and then limited on time, right? Which is partly why we might be struggling. But then here's the interesting thing. You're right. The new version needs new tools, but then that takes time to learn the new tools and resources, right?
Yeah.
And this is what's crazy is a lot of people, default back to the old tools because the old stuff they already have in the bag, and they don't have time to learn new stuff. But that's what it requires, is this constant learning process. And I find with my clients, I have to teach them new tools, and it takes time. We have to go to school together again, And for myself, I'm like, okay, I don't feel like I have much extra time, and now I have to relearn how to do similar things. And Jessica, you nail, both in male and female, and this is across the globe, but especially in the U.S. There's so many extra factors with food and so many things in the food and stuff that really affect hormones and digestion and weight loss, weight gain, and all that stuff. And it's like, so number one, where do you go to get back to school? Do you have the time to go back to school to learn the new tools? It's pretty daunting.
I don't think, and I think that's the acceptance piece that comes from that, is that going back to school means that you're just going to be compassionate with yourself, and you're not going to expect yourself to have PhD level knowledge about this new body that you're experiencing. You're going to go to the foundational basics, which is, why don't you just, instead of trying to get 100 grams of protein in, why don't you just master drinking water for the next 12 weeks? Why don't you just start there? And making sure that your hydration is good, because that's something that I really struggle with. I think that's one of the most foundational things, but I literally will go weeks where I'm like nailing it, and then all of a sudden it's like I have amnesia and I forgot how to drink water. I don't know if other people struggle with that, but I do. And I'm like, why do you have a headache? Maybe it's because you didn't drink any water today. And then I know there's a lot of people that think that's really foreign, but hopefully some listener out there will put in the comments that they too struggle with remembering to drink water. But anyway, it's just that little thing for me. If I could relieve myself of that, which I admit is such a hard thing, it makes me very emotional just thinking about these things that I struggle with, because I am a high achiever and I am very successful in so many other areas. It's like I go, why can't you crack like drinking water? It's a basic fun, like those things I can be pretty hard on myself with. But learning to just be kinder, and again, I'll reemphasize the goal should never be, and I use this in an emotional capacity, oftentimes, but it applies in the physical sense too. The goal, we have to break this idea that the goal is to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof and perfect everything. And we have to accept that the goal should be, can I learn the tools to perform field surgery on myself when I get a hit or when I get attacked or when I fall under stress? Do I have the ability to triage the wound and then to reset, but it's been a lot. Like, I continue to learn it at every level of life, is another unlearning. Oh, I thought I learned this. Nope. You just learned it in that situation. Now you got to learn it in this situation, in this circumstance, in this moment, you know, and just understanding there's no arrival. There's only a journey.
I just filled up my water bottle today for the first time. Sitting right
Really?
there. It's sitting
Out of
right
the
there, out of my hands distance. And because I too just forget or don't make it. I don't know if I ever made it a habit enough. In the ways I have other natural things, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting on that couch with Justin when I had the revelation moment, the epiphany of, Justin, I understand the importance of water now. I understand the importance of hydration. Hold me accountable, Justin. I want you, as my coach, I want you to ask me every week. It was life. It was mind blowing, and I thought, just based on that, I was always going to drink water the rest of my life. It didn't work out that way, and why, audience? I'm begging you for, yeah.
Well,
Well, let me
I'm
just
from
go
the,
ahead.
I will say this, like, neurotypical people and neurodivergent people, they process facts and habits and routines very differently. And there is that factor, that needs to be taken into consideration, is that is a common problem for people like us. So it is just what it is. So if you understand that, then the self-shaming can be mitigated, and you can say, okay,
Right.
all right, what parameters do I need to set into play for myself to remind myself? And again, I'm not saying these things because I'm perfect at them. I'm saying them because I know they work when they work, right? And
You
and
do.
I have to keep reminding myself. I have to surround myself with people who say, "Sweetheart, did you drink any water today?" Like that, not in a
There's
condescending way, but just an encouragement way.
Yeah.
there's a
What
whole nother
Justin?
aspect of this too that I've learned specifically that pertains to water, and it's options. And so in Morocco and Spain and Thailand, the water's not drinkable per se like it is in the U.S. Not that the U.S. has wonderful water, because there's all kinds of stuff in the water. If you think about everything you put down the drain, um,
Right.
components of that are in the water supply. So that's a whole nother topic. But the point is, we have so many options there, and in these other environments, oftentimes, especially in the warmer climates, the whole focus is around water, like bottled waters everywhere, like it's on the forefront of the conversation. It's water first, then it's okay, maybe coffee, maybe some wine or beer at night, this kind of a thing. I was and I was laughing about, because it was just recently Songkran, which is the Thailand New Year, and there's, for like a day, and in some parts of the country, several days, there it's like a big water fight, which is awesome. And it's but the government well, I don't know if the government shuts it down, but it gets shut down because they don't waste any water. Like, you just don't, you know what I mean? It's a finite
Right.
resource, so everybody cherishes it. So I wonder sometimes too,
So much
especially
abundance.
as, yeah, it's like there's so many options. It's like, I wonder if a person takes away all the options, and they're like, okay, I have my two or three favorite things. I have water, I have coffee, maybe I have green tea, whatever your thing is. But in the US, you can go anywhere, anytime, and you can get as much stuff as you want. And I think this pertains to the goals too, right? This pertains to the whole conversation. You have, like, when I've done these, long dopamine fasts, I've gotten off TV, social media, all that stuff. And there's so much distraction. So you have your goals, but there's a buffet everywhere all the time of any and everything that you want to pull you away from you're drinking your water, you're getting your goal accomplished. You can jump on Instagram or Facebook or social media or television. So it's like, for me, how do you narrow the focus, really? But
To nature.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
There's something about what's happened over this past week here in Greene County, or really coming just across this um, uh, the hemisphere. Where did I come across? I drove
Where
from
were
North.
you?
I came from North Carolina to here. What would that be? I was on this plane. What's that word? Help me, audience.
Like the
I drove.
latitude, you were on the
Yeah,
same.
that's what I was going to say. I was going to say latitude. That uh, I watched all of a sudden. I drove. I drove to North Carolina one weekend, and I drove back the next. And the burst of
Mm-hmm.
new foliage, the greenness, the as I got into my little subdivision here, um, the flowers were popping. Carrie said the other morning, like, "Oh, the cherry blossom." It was like in a day. It wasn't there one day, and the next day it was. There's something about living in nature and the natural way of things. And I wonder if I'm living as well as I could by way of nature and how much outside influence I have. So then the simple things of life, like drinking water every day, should be just a part of my natural existence that I just my body goes to it. I'm paying attention and I know that my brain is desiring it and needs it, that my organs, that my flesh, that and that I'm taking time to do these things. And as has been pointed out by both, like there's distractions, there's other things that we're doing and filling our lives with that I'm not sure are fulfilling. I'm not sure that they're naturally, by nature, fulfilling us and making us better.
Well, that our Gregorian calendar is set up for economy, not for biorhythms. And so, just the fact that January, February um, don't actually mean, you know, month one and month two. They're actually 11 and 12. And so, technically, the ancient calendars would have us starting in March as the new year. And so when you think about things like that and you look at the way our structure, I'm not going conspiracy theory or anti, let's all go off the grid. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying like maybe you don't be so hard on yourself when Q1 rolls around and you barely feel like you got started because like the biorhythms of your existence are meant to kind of wake up in March and April. And, if you think about the winter months and the way your body is meant to store fat so you can be like these certain things that you're meant to be slower, your metabolism is supposed to be slower, you're supposed to be more reflective, restorative in those winter months so that you can spring into life in the spring and come alive. And if you look at ancient civilizations, like this is the way. We have to adapt because we do, but if we can keep that in the back of our mind, that's what helps me is like, well, maybe you don't have to be so hard on yourself because like you were reflecting and restoring and healing in January and February, and then March is here and then
Right.
April's here, like now you're coming alive, like this is how it's supposed to be, nothing was wrong with you then, it's just now you're ready for, right? And so I try to use January and February to be more planning months of what's to come than I would anything else. But
I
that's been
like
an evolution in and of itself, you accepting that,
You're right. We've completely done a 180 on our biology. I mean, you spoke to it there, but as it relates to all these physiological baseline components like water, I mean, we used to spend all day, every day hunting, gathering, drinking water, things like that. But then also, we would actually gain weight in the summer when carbohydrates and sugar and fruit and stuff was was available, and then in the winter it would be the opposite.
Oh, okay.
We actually would gain weight when all that was abundant to get us through the winter months. So now everybody gains all the weight in the winter and they
So
try to lose it all in the summer.
We should
we
have
should be
what?
going for full, voluptuous, abundant bodies in the summer. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's kind
And
of
then
how it
in
used
the
to. That's how
winter
it
we
used
should
to
get
roll.
leaner.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, in places,
Okay.
especially where it was cold, a lot of carbohydrate laden foods just didn't grow. I mean,
It's true.
you don't have much access to carbohydrates and sugar. You have access to fats and protein, and also the way that we mess with our circadian rhythms, and then we get all way crazy, Jessica, as you were talking about. With there's not only the debate on the annual calendar, but then
The lunars.
the menstrual cycle and different ways women could eat and exercise based on where they're at in that phase. So how do we reel it in? I mean, we have some time left, but and I kind of was curious too with you, Mark, on like running a corporation, but I want it to be cool to start trying to the three of us put our heads together and start to figure out, okay, what can we leave for our audience? I mean, we've left a lot of nuggets already, but how do we direct them toward number one, not self-shaming, and maybe some steps. Like three of us get a lot done, right? But here we are talking about our struggles as well. So let's get into that, man. What do you guys think?
I'm trying. Somebody made this great point to me yesterday. This woman named Courtney, who's got a podcast. I did a pre-interview before I will be on our podcast as a guest. We did a pre-interview yesterday. Had an amazing conversation.
Mm.
Peakability podcast. Shout out to Peakability podcast in Orlando with Courtney. Justin, you should meet her. She's
Okay.
doing some interesting stuff in your
Okay.
in your realm, in your field.
Cool.
I told her, how do I summarize this? My brain has been relearning a number of things over the past 4 months. As I mentioned to you all, I decided on November 9th that I wasn't going to do cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
For 4 months. I was going to do a tolerance check, a fast. It was really to check in to see how would Mark Steiner do without having some substance or stimulant or thing in my life that I would go to as a crutch or to help support me. Was Mark Steiner enough without something else? Just as I am. And my brain, my system, the pathways were rewiring over these past 4 months. And now that March 10th came and went, folks, and I decided I didn't need that thing. I'm not sure that I'm never going to take a puff again or do something again. I don't know. I've not ruled that one out in the same way I have alcohol. But I did decide, like, guess what? I am enough, just as I am. And I feel like I'm my most authentic self here and now, today, as I've ever been. Has that come with age? Has it come with maturity? Yeah, all those things. Has it come with self-acceptance and grace? Yeah. So that's what I'll tell you I've learned in this first quarter. And it was I thought that I had a pretty good grasp of those things already. And what I'm learning is I'm continuing to grow. When I think I've showed up and I've arrived, it's like there's still so much more. And so I have learned more grace, more grace, more grace, more acceptance of who I am, being unashamed and unembarrassed in the way that I think nature is. The way that I went to the Bass Pro Aquarium, always voted number one in the country. And I'm looking at all these versions of fish. And you look at some of these fish and you think, that's an awkward looking fish. That's an odd looking creature. But but I kind of love that fish. for its oddity.
Mm-hmm.
Do I do the same things, and do we do the same things amongst ourselves
Mm-hmm.
as humans? Do we look at other humans and judge and say that fish is ugly because it's different? I think I think we do. I think we have. In the same way we look at certain fish and say, that's a beautiful fish. That's a perfectly symmetrical fish. Those eyes are, all the things. And look to nature. Look to nature more. I see flowers of all kinds and I love each one of them. That's what I've learned in Q1. I've learned this, and I hope to learn more in Q2. I will learn more in Q2. Grace and mercy. How about you, Jessica?
This, I think that the timeliness of us starting a podcast has helped me have to grow another level. And so I think that that's been a huge piece of opening my mind, because from a neuroscience perspective, when you learn something new, it kind of wakens up the brain and starts firing like, oh, we're paying attention, we're learning something new. So it's a great time to evaluate old patterns of behavior. And like, that's okay, we're learning something new. So like, what could we maybe rewire or rework or something like that? So I'm not surprised that I've had to confront things or challenges in this first quarter, because I am doing something new and it's going to re-expose things that you maybe conquered in one season but now are re-exposed in another, because the environment's different, the vibe is different. And I can't tell you how important the tools that I have accumulated over the years for processing emotion and dealing with life instead of masking life has been for me. And so if you're in that feeling of vulnerability right now, I just, and you're not where you want to be with your goals, I would just really encourage you to sit and be present with the discomfort and not try to avoid it or try to overcome it or try to fix it. Like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I just want to push back a little bit. I'm still additionally balancing the nuances of what I'm about to say. So I'm not committed to this idea completely. I think that there are applications for it and then there's a misuse of it, right? But I think we've got to really revisit the idea of what hard really means. Like, is it hard because I said it's hard? Or is it hard because I think it's hard? Or is it actually challenging me? Right. And so we've used that word, and it's like, well, what if it was easy? What if your brain told you this is easy? Could you access another level? So really been reflective of the things that I want to assign a label to because I'm not seeing results, and challenging that and saying, like, is it hard, or do you just think it's hard, or what's hard about it? Is it because you need a tool, you need support? Like, what is that? And just being super reflective on things, because hard grows our capacity. And in this world where everything is so easy right now, I have really big concerns that we're diminishing our capacity for adversity. And so we're like, well, that's hard, I'm quitting, or that's hard, I can't do that. And we're actually shrinking our ability to do hard things when we should be leaning into it and be like, a little friction's okay. It's all right to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to sit here and think I'm not where I want to be physically, and be uncomfortable with that without shaming yourself, without blaming yourself, to say, it's okay to be uncomfortable. What are we going to do next? Instead of trying to avoid it or mask it or pretend like it doesn't exist. So hopefully in that rambling, someone got something out of it. But I just really encourage you to sit with your feelings, use your tools. If you don't have any tools, get some, because you need that to keep growing. You cannot settle. You have to be willing to look vulnerable again and be vulnerable again and keep showing up and reinventing and embracing the next version of you.
It's great.
Man, I love that you hit that, because it's
Yep.
we're here with the conveniences and the ease that we have now because of the hard work. And our evolution even designed our dopamine system where when you do hard stuff, you get more dopamine. And the problem is we get cheap, easy dopamine now. So you're reinforcing a cycle that's a fake, illusory cycle that's not even real. And I don't know, my advice for people to mirror what you said is to do hard stuff. And for me, one of the hardest things, I think, for me personally, and maybe for a lot of us out there, is again narrowing the focus. Instead of making 100 goals, for Q1, Q2, whatever the case might be. We're talking about drinking water here on the podcast a ton today, right?
Yeah.
Narrowing your focus today in this world is hard.
Yes.
Jessica, as you say, that's hard work. And we think hard work is like, it's been structured where we think hard work is going to work for 9 to 5 or going to the gym. And those are hard things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like teaching your brain to focus on remembering a task like drinking water,
Mm-hmm.
taking a walk after you eat, like being present, boom, talk about a thing that everybody's losing, being able to be present. That's hard stuff. And you know what? If you do that, you drink the water, you focus, you narrow your focus, you're in the present moment. You get dopamine from that because you've done something hard. It's
And be willing, like, just to add one last thing, be willing to not have a permanent schedule. So like I have found permission in changing it up. So like every 6 weeks evaluating it and being like, okay, just for 6 weeks, I'm going to drink water every day. Okay, well, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So now I'm going to change it up and I'm going to say, I try a different time of day to focus on drinking water, or I'm going to, get in a routine and it works, but the novelty of changing a routine is actually good for you. And like, it allows your brain to grow and to find new pathways and to keep evolving. So I would just add on that, like if you're someone who seeks novelty, you might avoid structure and routine, but having the permission to be novel with your routine, you have that, like, permission granted. You can change that up.
Can I just say one thing? That also happened this morning. I decided last night that one of the things that might be happening for me is that my sleep cycle has not been great.
Mm-hmm.
I've been sleeping, but I'm still not sure I've been getting enough sleep. I've been getting up at 4:00 every morning for the past I think 6 months or so.
Wow.
And I get really tired by 3 or 4:00 in the afternoon. And I'm not so sure that has been good for my diet, how I've been doing this. And so I've thought, well, maybe that's one reason that I'm struggling losing weight. And so I decided I'm giving myself permission to change this. After this has become a part of my identity. I've worn this with pride. I've been boastful about this. I've been prideful about this. When I tell people I get up at 4:00 in the morning, I've said it with a little bit of, look at me. I know I'm doing something that you're not doing. But I'm not sure it's been a part of what should have been my natural cycle back to nature. So, like you said, Jessica, like you said, Justin, give yourself permission to change and adjust and narrow the focus. Bring it down to 1 or 2 things instead of 100 things, which I am notorious to do. And so, Justin, close this out, bro.
Okay. Well, you nailed it earlier, Mark. You said this last statement about getting up at 4 a.m. and you were talking about how you wanted to be closer to nature, right?
Yeah.
And I've ranted a little bit on this podcast about how we've taken ourselves so far away from nature. So a quick example, maybe there was a time in our evolution we woke up at 4 a.m., but I think generally we woke up with the sun, we went to bed with the sun, right?
Right.
And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. And speaking of like hormones and age and stuff like that, I mean, you make human growth hormone and testosterone as a man and other things when you're sleeping, especially those hours between like 12 and 4 a.m., right? So you kind of don't want to mess that up.
Right.
How would I wrap this up? There's so many nuggets in this podcast, but I would say I'm preaching it hardcore, but if we could really reduce the self-shaming, do the hard work of narrowing your focus on the things that mean the most. Like write a list of 5 basics. Drink water, be present with your family, work hard at your job, be in nature,
Yeah.
Put yourself a list together. And also, so I don't know, we could, that would be my thought, man. There's so much good stuff in here. I'm definitely going to go back and re-listen because Jessica dropped some bombs. Mark, you dropped some bombs, but,
we all have good stuff for everybody.
Yeah. Love yourself
Jessica,
well.
any final word? You took a deep breath, like maybe you had one more mic drop. You're usually the mic drop queen.
No,
So
I just the sentiments of what Mark said, I wear that badge of honor getting up at 5 in the morning, and like that's what I had to do for a season. But as I grow and change and the seasons change, I find myself needing more rest. And there are days I just give myself permission, like you need to rest. You need to rest. Yesterday I took 2 naps yesterday.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
naps. And I'm so proud of myself, but there's a version that exists in me that was like, you're lazy. Like, why were you taking, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have done so much. There's so much you should have been doing with that time. But then I'm just like, why can't the brush off, be like, I'm willing to take a nap in the middle of the day because it's good for my mental health and it makes me better mom, it makes me a better wife, it makes me, like that's going to be the luxury. The new luxury is people that are willing to say the work can wait, but the rest can't, and that we change that, I can sleep when I'm dead kind of narrative, and that we say, I'd rather you sleep while you're living because it's going to be a much better quality of life. So I love that we're all sharing this, maybe making some space for other people to really embrace who they are in this season and stop looking in the past for what happened and just focus on what would you like tomorrow to look like? What do you want today to look like? And loving yourself really, really well and loving your people. That's
Yep.
so important.
yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well, listen, for all you listeners out there, thanks for listening to Big Ideas, a podcast about people, perspective, and the ideas that shape who we're becoming. If this episode sparks something for you, stay curious. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye bye.